Yesterday, August 16th, 2026, I was visiting my 91-year-old grandmother. And before I tell you what she told me, there is one detail I probably need to clarify. Yes, my 91-year-old grandmother genuinely watches YouTube. Quite a lot, actually. She gets it through the online television and internet services offered by her Finnish television provider. It is simply part of how she watches television now. She follows videos about everyday life in the Ukrainian mountains. She also watches a Vietnamese soap opera whose name I cannot remember, although she seems to know perfectly well what is happening. So no, the YouTube part of this story isn't the strange part. A few days before my visit, she had been sitting in her usual place in the living room, watching television. It was an ordinary evening in an ordinary Finnish home. There are two familiar television chairs in that room. One is hers. The other is the chair my grandfather used to sit in. My grandfather, her husband, died in the autumn of 2025. That is the simple fact that makes what she told me next so difficult to place. Then she saw him. He did not look pale or transparent. There was no glow, no dramatic entrance. To her, he looked entirely ordinary. He stood up from his chair and walked calmly toward the kitchen, the way he must have done thousands of times while he was alive. He made no sound. He did not look at her. He did not speak, gesture, or acknowledge her in any way. And my grandmother did not scream. She did not panic. For a moment, she simply watched and waited. She expected, quite naturally, somehow, that he might walk back out of the kitchen. But he did not. Later, she did not describe it as a message or a haunting. She simply told me that this was something she had seen. That is the whole event as she reported it. Everything that follows is my attempt to think about it. Not something she claimed, and certainly not proof of anything supernatural. When she finished, I asked one very specific question. Did Grandpa react to you? She said no. He did not turn his head. He did not meet her eyes. He behaved as though she were not there at all. Naturally, I immediately started making the whole thing much more complicated. What if she did not see a ghost? What if she saw the past? To be clear, this is a science fiction thought experiment, not a scientific explanation. But imagine, just for a moment, that two moments at the same physical location could somehow overlap. The living room in 2026, and that same living room 5 years earlier, or 10 years earlier, or 20. During his life, my grandfather must have risen from that chair and walked into that kitchen thousands of times. Perhaps what appeared was one of those completely ordinary moments, an event so small that nobody noticed it, and nobody remembered it. Then the strange event would not be a dead man appearing in 2026. It would be 2026 briefly seeing an ordinary living man in the past. And that might explain the detail that caught my attention, why he did not react. Suppose the moment she saw had originally happened 20 years earlier. In that earlier moment, perhaps my grandmother was not sitting in her present-day chair. From her point of view in 2026, she could see him. But from his point of view, 20 years earlier, the chair may simply have been empty. He had no reason to pause or answer someone who, in his time, was not there. It would be like a one-way visual window, like watching an old recording, except that no camera had ever recorded it. And then comes the question I cannot quite leave alone. What if she called his name? If this imaginary overlap carried only images, nothing would happen. She would see him, he would hear nothing, and the moment would pass. But what if sound could cross it too? In 2026, my grandmother sees her husband rise from his chair and walk toward the kitchen. She calls his name. 20 years earlier, my grandfather, alive, occupied with some completely ordinary evening, stands up and begins that same walk. Then, behind him, he hears his wife's voice. He stops. He turns toward the chair. But she is not there. Perhaps the chair is empty. Perhaps the whole room behind him is empty. He might spend the rest of the evening wondering, did I just hear her calling me? What he might interpret as a ghostly voice from nowhere would, in this fictional version, be his wife's real voice arriving from the future. On one side, a woman sees her husband after his death. On the other, a living man hears his wife when she is not in the room. The same event, strange in both directions. Beautiful, perhaps. Melancholic, but still only an imagined possibility. Because when we come back to reality, there is no established evidence that ordinary living rooms open temporary windows into their own past. There are more familiar possibilities, and they deserve to be taken seriously. After losing a spouse or someone deeply loved, some people report briefly sensing their presence, hearing them, or seeing them. That does not tell us exactly what happened here. And it is not a diagnosis of my grandmother. It is simply one context in which intensely vivid experiences can occur. A brain that has watched this same person for decades becomes extraordinarily good at predicting familiar routines. He sits in that chair. He stands. He walks into the kitchen. Perhaps, for one moment, her brain completed a sequence it knew by heart. In fact, the very ordinariness of the action may be important. She did not see a symbolic vision. She saw a routine. There is another possibility. I asked whether she might have been tired, perhaps briefly hovering at the edge between wakefulness and sleep. She considered it and said yes, that was possible. Experiences near that boundary can feel astonishingly vivid and can seem to fit seamlessly into the room around us. Again, that is a possibility, not a diagnosis. She had never experienced anything like this before. She was not trying to prove a theory or convince me that ghosts exist. She simply told me what she believed she had seen. That restraint makes the story more interesting, not less. Maybe grief reconstructed a familiar moment. Maybe she briefly drifted between waking and sleep. Maybe the brain can produce an experience subjectively indistinguishable from ordinary reality, and purely for the sake of the thought experiment. Maybe space-time occasionally has a bad connection. Perhaps decades ago, my grandfather stood up from that chair, walked toward the kitchen, stopped, and thought he heard his wife's voice calling from an empty room. Maybe he dismissed it. Maybe he forgot it. Decades later, she experienced the other side. We will never know. And perhaps that's exactly why the story is worth telling.